Today we're going to add some text to panels on our card. I'm going to start with one in the middle, so I'm going to type first, happy. I want it in capitals, I think. There we go. Okay. Now, I'm going to make this, the panel's 100 wide, so I'm going to make it 100 wide and maybe about 30 high. See how that looks. Okay, now I'm going to add to that a shape. So overall I want it to be 148 high and 105 wide. So I'm going to start by making that 105 millimeters on the edit screen, and I want it 100. Whoops. Yes, I want it 148 less 30, which is how high we have made this, which would make it 118. And we need to divide that by 2, so that's going to be 50. My maths isn't that great. I would normally open Excel and work it at this point, but let's have a go with it. It's going to be about 55 wide, 55 high, so I'm just going to put the 55 in there for the minute. Now that won't be quite enough, will it? We'll need it a little bit higher than that. Let's make it 58. Now I'm going to create 2 of those, so just selecting it, Control and C and Control and V, just pasting it. Okay, now I want these 2 to be aligned left, so I'm going into the Align Objects section and choosing left. Just want them to be the same, so that the card is flat. Now, just going to zoom in here a little bit. What I want is, first of all, to select all of them and align them in the center. So I'm going over to the Align Objects, into the center. Okay, so it's now in the center. What I need is the happy to slightly overlap. That one's not up high enough. And this one's down too low, so we just want to take that up. Okay. Now, I'm just going to select all of them and see how high I am. 145. I want to be 148 high. So I need to add 1.5 on each. 59.5. 59.5 on that one. Now if I select all, but my happy needs to come, that needs to go up a little bit. Let's just, that's about right. So let's select all again. 147.8, that's going to be close enough for what I want, but I could, I think, just take that up one more. Okay, let's just go out again so we can see that. So there's the happy, right in the middle of the card, is aligned in the center. But because of the white, it looks a little off-center to me, so I'm just going to move it over a tad more. Even though I know it's centered, it's not quite where I want it. Okay, selecting them all, I just hit weld. And there you go. There's the happy. Now in this sort of example I would probably do a little thing and either draw it or use the quill to use the text. Let's type in birthday. I'll stay with the caps lock. I might just use a different font for that, so I'll go up to the text font up here. You can also do that on the property screen. You have to have it selected, of course, before you can change it. And change the font to something a little thinner. Let's try Florida. will change, just takes a minute. Oh, I kind of like that font. Okay, so holding down my shift key and using the arrow on the left hand, I'm just going to make it, I'm going to make this a bit smaller. I'm going to go to the edit screen again and center. A line in the center and a line vertically, so it's now in the center. Just going to put that over here for a minute. I'm going to go into my layers menu. Okay, so we're going to call this front, because it is the front of a card. I'm going to call that cutting, because that's going to cut out that shape. And this is birthday. I do like to name my layers into things that I can understand. Now, I want to change this to a draw file, because I'm going to either foil this or draw with a pen. So my choices are, I can change it here by dropping that down and selecting draw, or I can go up to here because I have that layer selected and go to edit, line operation, whoops, and draw. Either way, that will give me a draw. So I'm just going to leave that off to the side. So how it would look is, let's just put a bit of colour in here so we can see what we're doing. Let's colour that red. Okay, let's click birthday and colour that maybe yellow, nice and bright. Oh, and I will colour the shape behind there, and I'm going to colour that white. Okay, because I'll cut it on white paper, but I'll print it in maybe yellow or gold. So it would sit like that on the card, and that gives me a card front with the word cut out. So it's very simple to cut in the middle of a page like that. Okay, let's just move this off here a little bit. What if we want to add it to the top of a panel? But we don't want the panel to be the whole front of the card. So let's take a rectangle here. I'm going to make it, it's going to the edit screen, and I'm going to make it 105 wide. I'm not too worried about it. It's 70 millimeters height, which is going to cover about half. Just for an example, I'm going to, so I can see what I'm doing, I'm going to make one rectangle that I can line things up against so I can see if it's fitting what I want. Okay, so I've got, that's going to fit in about the middle of the square, and I think this one I'm going to make 95 wide, so it just fits in it. So just going to line them again, center and middle, and I think even so I want this one to be a little bigger. Let's just line them up. Now I'm going to line them in the center, but I'm going to line them to the bottom. So you can see now that, let's just colour this so we can see what we're doing. I'll make it pink this time. And I'm going to send it to the back. So you just right mouse click, click arrange and send you back. Now this one we're going to colour a different colour. I'm just going to go with white for the minute so we can see where it's sitting. That would be alright. Okay, so I'm just going to push that off the side. That's just my card front to try. Okay, I'm going to do the same, virtually the same thing here, but I'm going to put happy along the top this time. So we'll go to the text. We'll type happy. Now it's got a rounded font. That's fine, except it will it may look a little, maybe a little harder to get the edges in. So we're going to zoom in a bit here so we can see what we're doing. Okay, let's have a look. Okay, so manoeuvring it just slightly, you want as much of it on there as you can. And you can see with a rounded font how much harder it is. We've got to be further down. So I think we're going to change that font. And let's go back to one of my favourites, which is Brussels. Okay, you can see that the square of font can be a little easier to fit in. Let's just make it a bit smaller. you can see that you can have it much closer to the top. I'm just going to zoom out and put my card behind there. I just want to see how much of that it's going to pick up, and I think I'm happy with that. Okay, so again, I'm going to highlight both of those and select Weld from the edit screen. You can see how it's all in there now. Now what it's going to do is cut it just like that. Now I can see that here I've got a very tight cut either side of that A. So I'm going to hit Control and Z to undo so that it's separate. It's going to pull it down a bit. Now I want to separate that text. Now I've been doing this lots of ways, but you can type a letter at a time, but you can also use the divide function. So it makes each letter separate. So just for the minute, I'm going to select them all and move them one space. Now I'm going to select the PP and the Y and move it one space, and see, that gives me enough. Now, you know what? I think I really want to move that another space. So I'll just the PP and the Y and move one space. I'm happy with that bit of space in there. So I'm just going to get all those together, go into here and group them. I'm just going to put happy. I'm not going to worry about naming this group actually, because it's going to be gone in a second. So let's zoom in there. Now in this case, I want the happy to be just on the edge. I want it fairly centered. Again with the happy, I will try centering it from the edit screen and center. To me, because there's such a long break there, aesthetically I don't like it much, but I don't want to take it too far, so I'm just going to take it a little. Okay, now that we've done all that, we highlight both, we click Weld, and you can see that that's going to be an easier cut. Now, if we go back out again, of course you can do this with any word you want. What I'm going to do is bring that to the front, so right mouse click, arrange, bring to front. It is. Oh, it's lost its colour. That's what the problem is. Let's just colour it white. Okay. So you can see that that's the word cut on top of the panel. And I could just, again, do something similar to this and just put the birthday, whoops, lost that there. I'm just going to send that backward, and that'll bring our birthday up. The cut shape is so I've gone into the layer screen, clicked on the little cutting shape I want, and I'm cutting, and I'm going to go to arrange and arrange, doesn't want to do it, arrange and bring to front. Okay, let's try it on this one. Nope. It doesn't want to arrange, does it? Oh, that is silly. Let's try up here. Bring to front. There we go. There's more than one way to skin a cat. Now let's just go to the text and arrange and bring to front. Okay, so that's what that card would look like. Very easy to do in welding it. It's just a matter of lining up your edges. Okay, so let's do another one so it sits on the fold of the card. Let's go out a little bit so we can see it. Okay, you can do this either way, of course, either landscape or portrait. Let's do a rectangle for the whole card. No, I'm going to do it for one panel first. There are a couple of ways you can do this, so let's just... I'm going to make this 148 millimeters wide and 105 high. Okay, so that's one side of the card. Now, it just depends here what I'm going to do, but let's let's say this time we want to put a name up there, so we'll go with my name, I guess, and I'll type Leslie. Okay, how you do this would depend on how big that word is, I guess. I know that I'm above the fold at the moment, so I'm just going to resize. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to take it down just a fraction. I'm going to go to the edit screen and align in the center. It was pretty well aligned anyway. Happy with that, and I'm going to click weld. Now, I want this overall. Oops, I just noticed I've got a little cut there in the S. Let's just undo that and take this up just one more spot, two more spots. I try to avoid those really fine cuts. So again, I've highlighted, moved it up, highlighted. Still got a tiny little bit there. But that will come out when I transfer it because it's so small, so I'm not worried about that. Okay, this now is higher than the 105. It's 134 high if we go over to the edit screen. So I wanted 148 millimeters high, but I wanted 105 high. That has squashed it a bit, but I'm still happy with it. Okay, so now I'm going to give myself another rectangle, and I'm going to make that 148 wide and 105 high. Now, I am going to line them up. I'm going to align to the left, just to make sure it's where I want it. Now if I go in, I don't think I can go much higher than that, but let's have a look. Oh no, that's right on the edge, let's leave it there. Okay, so selecting both and welding. Now I've got that little mark again, let's go Control and Z, and let's move this down one. So, now I need to check my heights again. This one, it was 105, it still is 105. Let's just select both and weld. Again, I've got a little line in there, but I'm not particularly worried about that at the moment. Okay. There are a couple of things to do here. It looks a bit strange, but when it cuts how you want it. This is not going to be the size I want. It's 148 by 208. I need it by 205. So, what I'm going to do is, okay, remove the overlapping. So, I want 200 and, oh actually I want to add more, don't I? I want 210. Sorry, I'm going to delete that. And I'm going to take it down from the bottom here and make it 210. Okay, now it's exactly the card size, but I want a fold line in there. Now, what I do with my folds is, now, we may be able to delete those little, no, I can't delete them. I'm pretty sure they will disappear once I go to do it. Okay, I'm going to take my freehand path tool, holding down my shift key. I'm just going to draw a straight line. Go back up there, just make sure it's straight. It isn't, is it? I must have let my shift key go. Let's try again. Holding down the shift key, clicking, holding down the shift key. It's not working this well, is it? Let's try this one. So click, shift key, straight line. Hit the escape key and go up to there. And I don't want that extra line, do I? Try again. One thing about doing these things live is that you get to see all the things I do. So I'm going to escape. There we go. And click again on the engine, it will do it. Now, this is going to be a fold line. So I do that with my embossing tool. So I'm going to change that to a draw line. And I'm going to go to the edit screen and make it 148 millimeters wide. Now, I'm going to select both things. And I'm going to go down to the align and align it in the middle. That will be the fold line on the card. Now, it's over a bit, so I need to align the left. So, what I've got is the card that when it's folded, it will have Leslie at the top. Now that I've done all that, it's more than likely I would have wanted to overlay that Leslie with something else. And what I'm going to do is just move that aside for a minute and go through this process again. So let's get our rectangle. Let's get type Leslie. Now we'll make our rectangle 148 wide. So I'm going to come back here. Make that a bit bigger. It might end up a bit bigger this time. Each time you do it, it might be just a slightly different size. Okay, I'm going to align both. So I'm going to go to the align objects to the center. Happy with that. I'm going to zoom in just a bit more. I can see I've got a little bit there, so I'm going to take that up one and that will cut it. Now before I merge, I'm going to copy that and paste it off to the side because I want to cut that in another fabric, in another paper. Okay, so let's weld that, and again, it's done it. Now I'm not going to put the top on at the moment, you can get the idea of it. So what I'm going to do with this one is, I'm going to go to the edit screen and create offset line. This one's going to be an inward. Now I don't want it 5 millimeter. Let's try at about 2 millimeters and see if I like the look. No, I don't like the look. Control and Z. So let's go up there and create offset line. Oh, got to select it first. I won't create an offset line unless you've got it selected. And I'm going to try this at 1 millimeter. That's the smallest you can do. There we go. That's better. So that's the original because it's thicker. This is the offset line. So I'm just going to delete that now. This is going to give me an offset line. Now just colour it and I'll show you what it looks like. I'm going to colour that yellow. And let's colour this red. Okay, so if we cut that in another material and just lay them, there we go. That's what the card would look like. It is very easy to do these text on edges. Of course we haven't done the side edge, but the same principle. So let's get another, whoops, wrong button. Let's get another rectangle. Let's make it, I'm going to start with 105 by 148. Okay, I'm going to type the word, well, let's do Noel for Christmas. There's a sort of card you might do that. So let's do Noel, but I want the text vertical. Now, don't have to type each letter separately. Or I could type them in one go and then divide them. I might do that. Let's just delete that and start the text again. So I'm going to type Noel. N-O-E-L. Okay. I'm going to work out the size I want. Because now I'm not worried about width here, I'm worried about height. But I want it to look right. Okay. It is 46 millimeters high and I want to go 148, so I'm going to divide that by 4, which is going to be about 35 high. So let's just make it 35 high. Okay. Now I'm going to divide, and I'm going to take each letter. It's going to move them down there. I'm going to highlight them all and align them in the center. So they're going to line up now. But now I can also adjust the spacing. So I'm going to put them down to 10 millimeters on the horizontal spacing. Now I think that's going to make me, that's made it 166, so I can't do that. So let's try 5 millimeters and on the vertical spacing. And that's still 151, so that's not going to work. Let's try 3 millimeters. You can see it's just a matter of 145. That's about where I want it. So it is 32 millimeter, 32.5 wide. Let's make it 35 wide. Okay. So now I need to make this 105 less 35, which is going to be 70 millimeters. Okay. Oh. Always Control and Z. Always good. Now, to prevent that happening again, I'm going to group them. Now, I'm going to zoom in. Now, here's where we've got to decide how much we want to overlap. The less overlap, the more flimsy the cuts are going to be. See, if I go there, the L's not in. You can see there's just a bit of space in there. So you need to make sure that all your... You know what I might do is ungroup them. Ungroup. I'm going to go to the edit screen and align them left and see if it changes the look a little bit. It does. Am I happy with it? I think I'm happy with it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just make sure I've got the right width, 103.4. So I need to add a little bit onto here, another 1.6, so 71.6. Okay, just move it over a little bit. That should give me the overall width of 105.5, so I can go over a little bit more, 105.3. Don't want to go any further. Let's just go back and let's take off 2. Maybe my maths was wrong. Anything's possible. 105 exactly. Okay, so this would be the front of a card. So again, it's all lined up. It's where I want it, and we click weld. And it's welded together. You see the joins are... Oh, our O and E haven't welded. Why haven't they welded? Oh, because I hadn't selected them. Surprising what a difference it makes when you select everything. Okay, those joins are enough to do that. Let's give that a colour so you can see what it looks like. It's Christmas. Let's go red. And there you go. Now again, because this would be the front of the card, you could either just do it like that if you wanted to cut and it actually be, actually you would want to put the other side of the card on that, wouldn't you? Because, whoops, got a bit of stuff on my workspace here. I would do another rectangle and I would make it, whoops, 105 wide and 148 high. You notice I've got my maintain aspect ratio off, which you need to do when you're doing this sort of thing. Okay, now I need to, first of all I'm going to align the top, so into the align on the top. Just going to go in a bit here because I want it fairly close to the edge. And just edging it across till they just join. Okay, I think they're joined there, but we'll soon find out. And I'm going to weld it together. But I think I've still got a line down there, so I'm going to Control and Z. Control and Z. I can just see a line down there. So that's, and the colour didn't change, so that's a good indication. Okay, weld. Okay, the colour changed, so we know now that it is all welded. If you remain colour in one side, it is not welded together as one object. Again, we want to click on that, hold down our shift key, click and down, second click and let go. This time we want to center it, so we're going to our line and center. We're going to select our line and make it 148 millimeters high. Now it's a line, so I'm just going to use the arrow keys to get it where I want it. If you weren't going to do a embossing line using the embossing tool, then you would need to think of other ways to do this, because we don't have the choice of making kiss cut lines here. You would have to take it to Canvas Online. So, okay, I'm going to do that. Now, that is a draw line, so I'm going to change it to draw. And I'm just going to group it all together. And the reason I'm grouping it together is so that when I transfer it to the machine, I'm not going to accidentally move the line. So let's go back and colour it again. Red. You can see where the fold line's going to be. And there you go. So we've done it on the side, we've done a panel, we've done it in the middle, we've done it on the top of a card that will be on the fold, and we've done an offset. That gives you some ideas of how you can cut words into your card. Hope you enjoyed this video.